Hey everyone, today we're going to look at the most important file in Payload CMS, which is the payload config. It's the file that you can see on the screen. It's one of the core concepts in Payload CMS, and understanding it is the first step to start building apps with Payload CMS. Everything in Payload starts with this file. It defines your database, it defines your collections, and even the admin panel, how the admin panel looks. And in this video, we'll focus on just the essentials so you can start building right away. So this is the file that you get with the blank template, and you get a lot of things that give you a CMS so you can log in right away. And this is what you get. We got two collections, which you can see here in the admin panel. And we're gonna go ahead and start with admin. So this is the whole file, but we're gonna start with admin. So in admin, you have a whole bunch of options. But one of the most important ones that I like the most is the auto login feature that Payload has. So you never have to worry about logging in when you're developing, and this comes in very useful. So let's do auto login, and instead of okay, let's do that process, env development, and then email. You add your email, admin at outlook.com, and then password. All right, so that would be the auto login. So you set the user that you want to log in with, and you set it to be only on development. And if you try to log out, or Payload CMS logs you out by timeout, it will log you back in. So you never have to worry about logging back in again. Another concept that you have in the admin is components. We're not going to go too much into depth because that's a topic for another video. Okay, so you can add components like this. You open curly brackets, and then you can add components like before dashboard. You open an array, and then once you create a file, you can add it here. So in this case, let's just create a quick file. Let's go to source, create a new file, components / payload / before dashboard / index.tsx, and then we import user. We're gonna make a very small component from payload types. That's correct. Import user. Let's import type, and then we add const before dashboard. Let's import React. Okay. Okay, it's giving me user. We don't have name here. We have email only for now. And this is a good auto-completion. So let's take it. Export default before dashboard. We save this file. We come here, and then we just add a string that adds components payload before dashboard. This is perfect. And you see that a new component will be added here. Welcome admin at outlook.com. So it's important that you know that they exist, the components in general, root components, but you're not gonna need them at the beginning. So let's continue with collections. So here we have two collections that were added by Payload with the blank template, and there is users and media. So let's go and look at one of those. The users one, media. Let's go media, and you can see that we have the alt field is type text and require true, And if you go to media, you'll be able to see that we have the alt field. And because this is an upload collection, you have this option here. But you don't have to worry about that right now. We're gonna make a video about collections, and but you add all the collections here in the payload config. You import them, and then you add them in this array. And that's why Payload CMS is very powerful, because once you declare your data schema, it'll generate a GraphQL API endpoint, REST API endpoint, local API endpoint, and it'll generate an interface. So there is a lot of things that Payload CMS is giving you for just setting up data schemas. Here we have the editor. I'd say you don't have to worry too much about this. Just use the default editor unless you want to use something else because of some particular reason you have. But this is pretty good. It'll work out 99% of the times, and I wouldn't worry about it too much for now. But we'll make a video about it too, because there is a lot of things that you can add with the editor. One of them is blocks, which is pretty useful, and it's like it's pretty much reusable components that you can add in your text editor. So it's pretty powerful. Secret is another thing that you have to set. Usually it's already set for you once you start the app, but you can change it before you deploy to production, just for security. But this is just a string that will be used for any encryption processes that happen in Payload CMS. Another thing that Payload CMS offers is the TypeScript option. You can change this and you can even disable it, but I wouldn't recommend that unless you're not going to use TypeScript. But you can change the output file. So in this case, it's in payload-types.ts, and it's over here. So you'll get all the types, and as you remember, we imported user types from payload types here, and they're gonna come in handy because they are automatically generated. You can change that too, but it's not something that you would usually do. Next, we have database. Here's where you set your database plugin. In this case, I have SQLite because it's the easiest database that you can set up locally. You don't need anything. You just create the app, select SQLite, and you can get started right away without having to worry about creating a MongoDB database and then getting the string, or creating a Postgres database and getting the string, connection string, and then getting started. So if you want to get started the fastest way, just choose SQLite. But if you're going to build something that's going to require a different database, you can change this later, and you can just install the plugin that you need for your database that you're going to use, and then you add it like this. It's pretty much the same for all of them. You just have to add the connection string here. Then we have sharp, which is just a dependency that helps Payload to resize the images, and then we have the plugin to save images in the cloud. But one of the most important things that is not here, but it's like collections, is the globals option. And you can add it as an array, and they're pretty much like collections. Globals are great for a single instance content, like a site header. If you're doing multi-tenancy, that's a different story. I have a full video on that if you want to know more about it, so I'll leave it in the description. I'll make an example of how to add a global, and you add them exactly the same way you do with collections, but there is a few differences. So if we go to the users collection, you'll see that we have a collection config, and let's just add a new file, which is gonna be in globals slash header slash index.tsx. So to create a global, just import global config from payload. And I made a typo here. Okay, that's payload config. And now we add a export const header. The auto completion is good, so let's add that. And then we add slug header and fields. We add a title. It's gonna be type text. Required true, let's just make it required. And then we're gonna add a logo. Let's open curly brackets. Type upload, relation to media, this is good. Let's do that. Then we add a comma here. And then we close it. And that's it. That's the global config. Now let's just import it. And it's pretty easy. Just import from globals header. This is correct. And then you just add it here to globals. Once you save, you see that a new globals instance was added here. I mean, I would call it a collection, but it's just like a different type of collection, you know. It's a collection that has just a single document. So you cannot create more than a single one per site. So you have the title and you have the logo. And if you add something, let's say hello, and you save, you see that it's saved here in the API, and you can see what the data looks like. So now let's go back. Previously I mentioned plugins, and I mentioned that, you know, we have the image plugin here, but you can add more. You can add authentication plugins, SEO plugins. There's a bunch of plugins that you have for Payload CMS. There is a lot of official plugins, and there is a lot of community plugins, so you can explore that. Now you'll see a lot of other options in the documentation, and you know, things like hooks, custom endpoints, GraphQL settings, event scripts. And these are pretty powerful, but you don't need them on day one. Just focus on collections and globals, which are gonna give you 80% of the results with, like, you know, less than 20% the effort. And only explore the advanced stuff once you need them. And you know, you can read about them just to know that they exist, so you can know all the potential solutions to any problem that you may face. All right, so that's the payload config. Once you install the app, it'll pretty much set up the basic stuff you need, and then you can start adding collections and globals and maybe custom components like before dashboard too. And that's about it. From there, you can expand on more fields, you know, plugins, eventually customize the admin panel and make it look exactly how you want, because you can completely replace this presentation with your own custom component if you add them here. You can look for root components. If you found this helpful, drop a like and subscribe, because in the next video I'll show you in more detail what collections are, the options you have, and we'll explore all the field types and their potential.